name is Amy Small, and for folks that don't know me, I am the founder and owner of Knit Collage, a business I started 14 years ago. Along with a small yet awesome team, we design hand-spun yarns, knitting, and crochet patterns. We also host make-alongs twice a year where we share many of the things that we care about, we care deeply about, including knitting and crochet, yarn, teaching, community, creativity, and mindfulness. When I began my knitting journey quite a long time ago, over 20 years ago, I was so clueless. This is where I was, and I wonder if you have been here. I bought so much gorgeous, expensive yarn, and it never became anything more than half-knitted projects collecting dust in an old closet. I didn't know how to get good support or learn elusive new techniques. Despite not knowing what I was doing, like at all, I kept buying and accumulating more yarn and trying over and over again. I could not stay away from the yarn and the stunning projects that inspired me to make them. All of the yarn and the patterns were calling to me and inviting me to come play with it and dance with it, to become a little more creative, to learn new techniques, and to challenge myself. All this time, I was going it alone. I had no knitting friends. I was totally by myself. I didn't know one person who knit. No one could tell me about the difference between yarn weights or what a whip or an FO was. Nobody was cheering me on and supporting me and really getting the details of everything that I was making. So this lasted years and years and years, and it wasn't until the handspun yarn business was established about a decade later that I felt slightly more knowledgeable as a knitter, although I still had no wolf pack. I was still completely alone. What I realized along my long and lonely knitting path is that knitting has taught me so much more about myself and freed up all this pent-up creativity that got stamped out of me growing up in a world that celebrates conformity. All of these struggles figuring out how to knit and actually finish projects successfully were not in vain, because they helped me figure out what would have benefited me back then when I was a beginner just getting started. I've also learned what would benefit me now as an always learning knitter on the hunt for the next exciting project and a group of supportive and creative friends to go it along with. This is how our biannual knit-alongs, now make-alongs because we include crochet, came to be. Through these events, we connect, we learn new techniques, we face challenges. There's some where we have to rip and redo, and we end with finished projects that are unbelievably beautiful. We just wrapped up our fall 2023 make-along after an amazing 8 weeks and our first ever knitting challenge for the Solstice Hug pattern. So much fun. Through both of these events, we hosted more Zooms. We had all sorts of ways to connect with folks on social. There was lots of teaching and more mind-blowing creativity happening daily than I think I've ever experienced. But then, after 8 weeks for the make-along and just 10 days for the challenge, it all comes to an end. So what I realized 3 years ago when I started Creative Knitters was that I really wanted a way to keep that conversation going, and that I knew there was something within me that could help benefit makers of all skill levels on their journey to take their skills to the next level. I wanted to keep that conversation going about creativity, geeking out about yarn and projects. I wanted to help makers learn new techniques and to inspire them with awesome and fun patterns. And I wanted to have a group of cheerleaders that not only would cheerlead myself, but each other to keep going and keep making and achieve more and more. And underneath the fun part of sharing what we love in Creative Knitters is this underlying thread that knitting and making things makes us better. That's why we do it. I touched on this right at the beginning of the video. We use making as a tool to become more creative, confident, patient, relaxed, and foster a deeper connection with our true selves. So with all of this in mind, I come up with a simple membership that ties into our make-alongs and the challenge, but it goes way beyond simply knitting and crocheting with our yarns and patterns. I'd love to invite you to go deeper with me and join in the fun. So here is what Creative Knitters is all about. There are parts of Creative Knitters that tie into Knit Collage and the business here, but many that go way beyond anything we do at Knit Collage. So here's what's in store. Help sessions. This is the most valuable aspect of Creative Knitters. What happens when you realize you've made a serious knitting mistake, a fatal knitting or crochet error, and there's nothing you can do? Your project doesn't look like the pattern and you have no idea what went wrong. This has happened to me so many times. To answer this, to help you with this, we've created help sessions with our knitting and crochet coaches, Cheryl and Anne, who are completely awesome, and they're equipped to help you with any project and any pattern. And when you join Creative Knitters, you're eligible for a 30-minute help session with either of them once a week. So if you've joined in to our make-alongs or the challenge, you know Cheryl and Anne, they're completely amazing. And they will help you with any project and any yarn. It doesn't have to be Knit Collage yarn or a Knit Collage project. And we have a whole system on how to do this. So if you're wondering, how does the tech work around that? It's really simple. It's all on Zoom, completely remote. The next thing is the Video Vault. The Video Vault is yours for as long as you are a member of Creative Knitters, and it's hosted on Teachable. So right when you join in, you get access to 130 plus videos taught by myself, simple basics like how to read a yarn label, what's the difference between the yarn weights, my favorite tools, simple cast on and knit stitch tutorials. This is all the stuff I wish someone had told me when I started knitting. I used to spend hours on YouTube looking for good tutorials, and it was painful because there's so many bad ones. This is a one-stop shop place for you to find simple and clear tutorials. You'll also find more advanced tutorials on things like different short row techniques, color work, lace charts, blocking, brioche, intarsia, and so much more. Each month we have one learning event. For the most part, these classes are geared towards learning new knitting, crochet, and fiber techniques so that at the end of one year you can look back and say, oh my gosh, I learned so much and I truly up-leveled my skills. Over the past year or so, we've learned how to add beads to our knitting with teacher Paula Pereira. We have learned how to take better photos of our projects with Gabriella Treminio. We've learned how to spin on a drop spindle with Amanda Solomon. We've learned how to stack stitches with Zandy Peters. We've learned color theory with Alexi of Two of Wands, Tunisian crochet with Tony Lipsy. The list goes on and on. We have one fantastic event that is in your Teachable Video Vault on how to fix mistakes. That's a really popular one. And in January, we have a class on double knitting coming up with Cheryl Kubat, a Knit Collage team member. Many of these classes are available right when you join in. When you become a member, you can watch the recording. We have a new series called the Next Step series that is geared toward beginner knitters, and kicking off in February, beginner knitters can join in and get special attention and help from our coaches, Cheryl and Anne, to make the Shake Your Groove Thing poncho. So that's going to be very personalized classes based on the skill set of new members and existing members that are beginner but are ready to take their skills to the next level and make that poncho. Super excited about that. All right, so let's talk about community. Making in community is just better. It's about accountability and it's about cheerleading and making it so much more fun. There aren't knitters where I live, so to have that community online is just like a lifeline. We host our community in the Facebook group, but we also host tons of Zooms each month. We encourage you to cheerlead each other, post there constantly as much as you want, and really connect with folks that you resonate with. We host 7 community Zooms a month, so it's a lot, and each one of these has some type of theme. So could be share your favorite local yarn store, share your favorite crafting books. So each time we have a theme that we use as the focus of our Zoom. This is a great place to say that any skill set, if you're a beginner or advanced knitter or crocheter, you are welcome here. I found the knitting community so intimidating when I first joined. It doesn't matter where you are. This is a wonderful place for you to join in, and we will be cheerleading you wherever you are. And there's no such thing as a silly or stupid question. The last thing I want to mention about the community is that we also connect folks by place. So we've got this private map where you can see where all the members are, and it's optional. You don't have to do it. It's totally optional. So you can connect with people in your area if you're Boston like me, or let's say you're traveling to Australia, you can go and find Michelle, who's in Australia, and meet up with her for a coffee and visit a yarn store. It's really cool. Another huge benefit to becoming a creative knitter is that you get early access and tons of insider perks. You get early access to pretty much everything from new yarns, make along and challenge kits, to our winter solstice kits, really every single thing you get early access to. So if you've ever missed out on getting a color or a yarn you like, this is where we ensure you get your top choice. And I don't think we've ever had a creative knitter not get what they want for their first pick as part of the make-alongs. So we also offer extra percent off sale. So either 5 to 10% extra off all sale items, as well as early access to our sale items. I hosted a sample sale in the summer that got snapped up completely by our creative knitters, and you'll get access to those things that might not go out to the public in general. You'll also get loads of free patterns and small perks like shipping from time to time each month. So we're really focusing on this for the next year. Each month you're gonna have one small, really fun perk. Okay, one of the other things I just added in last year is this idea of designing your own knit collage yarn. So I have this presentation I give to creative knitters and a worksheet, and from there, creative knitters get to design their own yarn and submit that recipe to me. I work with the spinners in India on making it come to life, and then get it back and have a big Zoom presentation about it all. And it's incredibly fun and creative. So if you've ever thought like, how are these yarns made? Or I'd love to make one of those yarns come to life, this is an incredible way to be a part of the process. And I really think of our creative knitters as our insiders who we bring into everything that we do from the ground up. Knit collage. Okay, the last thing I want to mention is loyalty points. You get $10 in loyalty points to use each month. They roll over and accumulate, and they never expire. So if you know you love joining in our make-alongs, you could just save them up every 6 months for your make-along purchase. They're there for you to use as you want. All right, now finally, truly the last thing I'm going to talk about is creativity. This is not something tangible, but it's something that's a huge, huge part of creative knitters. Maybe the biggest part for me. I will be encouraging you to unleash your creativity and to really tap into that inner artist and that sense of free creative expression. And this is going to come through the Zoom topics that we share about, the Facebook prompts, and really everything that we share in Knit as a team will be about encouraging you to let that all out onto the needles, the hooks, the projects that you make, and really tapping into your authentic, free, creative self. Okay, I think I covered everything. I'm not sure, but I think I did. So the cost to join us is $38 per month. It's a cost that increases as time goes on because I keep adding to that video vault into those courses, so it keeps getting more valuable. Registration is going to be open for 1 week starting on January 24th. The next time to join will be in July, but if we have a ton of folks joining right now, we may not open it in July. So you have the option to join monthly, or you could join and pay for a whole year at once and save around $50 if you decide to do that. So like I mentioned, registration opens January 24th at 10 a.m. Eastern time, stays open for 1 week, and then we close everything up on the 31st. And right when you join in, you get access to the video vault, the community, and the help sessions. Our first welcome Zoom call will be with me the next couple days right after we close up registration. So if you joined in our recent challenge or make along or simply love knitting with yarn, I invite you to join me into our friend-filled creative adventure. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, what would benefit you most from what I shared about, and I so hope that you will join me in Creative Knitters.